Rory spoke to the media after his final round in Atlanta.
My season's not over, obviously. I've still got 5 events left to play. So, but yeah, I feel like the tournaments came thick and fast, and obviously with the Olympics thrown in there as well this year, it condensed everything a bit. But yeah, I think it was obviously a great season. Hopefully Scotty goes on and finishes this thing off, because he deserves it after what a year that he's had. So, but yeah, it's been a long season, and I'm going to just have to think about trying to build in a few extra breaks here and there, next year and going forward, because I felt like I hit a bit of a wall, sort of post US Open, and still feel a little bit of that hangover.
Sorry, how many strokes will you end up having this year?
27.
And how many is too many, do you think?
27. I'm usually sort of like a 20, 22 sort of person. But again, that was when I was sort of in my 20s and didn't have the responsibilities that I do now. So I'm going to try to cut it back to like 18 or 20 a year going forward, I think.
Gosh, and 2 missed putts away from one of his best seasons in recent memory. 2 missed putts away from being in the conversation with Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele leading in to the FedEx Cup playoffs as a potential player of the year, and now saying he's going to kind of cut back on his schedule. Is this another Rory reboot, as it were?
I don't think so. I just think it speaks to how it's not a level playing field in terms of finding that balance between your golf career, your family, and your business objectives. I mean, he's played about as many events this year as Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa. They're all around 2021. They don't have obligations to the DP World Tour. They don't have to go play their home open as well. And there are some caveats in Rory's schedule as well. I mean, he started the year with back-to-back weeks in Dubai, one of which that he actually won was the Dubai Desert Classic, one of the most established events on the European Tour. He played in Dubai the week before, finished second, but that was basically as a favour to a friend. He's playing the Dunhill Links because it's his dad's 65th birthday present, and they last played there when his dad Jerry turned 60 that week, and Jerry also beat Rory on his own ball that week in St Andrews 5 years ago. And then you throw in the Olympics. He also took the Travellers out of his schedule along the way when he withdrew from there the week after Pinehurst. So there are a lot of moving parts in Rory's schedule, but there are at least a couple of events in there that he could drop without materially impacting what he does. But going all the way back to 18 or 20, I'm not convinced he'll get there, because by the time you do the signature events and the major championships, and you throw in, say, an Irish Open or the Race to Dubai finale or the BMW Championship in Wentworth that he's also playing, then you're north of 20 already.
You kind of talked about almost like favors, doing this for so-and-so, for a friend in the Middle East,
or
time
a sponsor
with his dad, or a sponsor, or Shane Lowry. In Zurich, playing.
He'd never played that one before.
Never played.
But he only did half the work that week, to be fair.
It's true. That's true. And he had a good time. They had some good meals down in NOLA. But is this a function of Rory needing to be a little more selfish? And is that hard for such a thoughtful human being to do?
Well, the last few years, in terms of the board commitment and getting involved as a spokesperson or an advocate for his tour, Rory McIlroy is not very good at saying no. And that was actually what was impressive about him changing his phone number right after the United States Open, when people felt entitled to reach out and ask for something from him, particularly members of the golf media. And he's kind of shut that down. So maybe there is a new Rory coming out here where he is going to say no a little bit more often. I just don't see a realistic scenario where it's going to be easy for him, unless he starts to occasionally shave a signature event off his schedule, or he doesn't play, say, a Canadian Open that he's won twice as well. He's going to have to make some tough choices if he wants to get down to around that 2022 mark.
We'll see if a new Rory leads to a major championship in 2025.